welcome to today's World Business Partners session. My name is Yulia Plusnina, and I'm coordinator of membership partnership programs, as well as leadership and HR forum at ACI Europe. Before we start, I would like to share with you a few housekeeping rules. First of all, each presentation will last 15 minutes and will be followed by 5 minutes Q&A. So all the participants are encouraged to put their questions in the chat of this webinar, and the questions will be picked up after the presentations or by the end of all the presentations. After the webinar, all registered participants will receive the recording of this webinar along with the speaker's contact details and the presentations. So I'm the moderator of the session today. The topic we are going to focus on is rethinking human resources and enhancing employee experience and data-driven recruitment. The concept of human resources has traditionally centered around managing the fundamental aspects of employment, such as compensation and benefits, recruitment, payroll, legal aspects. However, in 2025, we see two distinctive trends. First of all, the modern approach of human resources is trying to integrate data-driven technologies along with AI technologies in all aspects and all the processes of human resources management. And the second trend that we see this year is that people are increasingly looking for more than a job. They are looking for employee experience, which promotes employment, promotion, growth within the company, as well as well-being, such as mental health, work-life balance, and sometimes even wellness programs. This approach recognizes people as individuals rather than mere workers. And those two aspects will be shaping the future of HR in the midterm and maybe even long term. So I hope that today's discussion will be insightful and very engaging. I expect lots of questions. We are joined by 4 distinguished speakers, which are active members of Leadership and HR Forum. We have 2 representatives of airports, Bologna and Hermes Airports, and 2 world business partners, Ethos Farm and LOGYX. So without further ado, I would like to present our first speaker, Christian Esposito from Bologna Airport. He's in charge of people analytics and processes. Christian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Julia. Good morning, everyone. And first of all, I will share my presentation. So, okay. So my name is Christian Esposito. I work, as Julia said, in people analytics and process in the HR department of Bologna Airport. And today I would like to take you on a little journey, through the evolution of human resources, trying to show you how our role has shifted from a purely administrative function to a very, very strategic and people-focused area. HR today is about people experience, is about a data-driven approach, is about technology. We are no longer just processing payrolls as it was in the past. We are involved more and more in defining company culture, in fostering employee engagement, and of course in defining business strategy. So in the next 15 minutes, I would like to cover these three main topics. As you see, I would like to have a very brief touch on the evolution of the HR, from administration to employee experience. We will go deeper in this theme later, so it will be a very, very short introduction on the theme. I would like to talk about people analytics and the importance of a data-oriented approach. And finally, a very brief touch also on the challenges and opportunities that we will have on AI, especially in HR departments. So I would like also to give you some insights, some practical examples from Bologna Airport experience. So let's begin with the first theme. If the slide goes on, okay. So the evolution of the HR role. From many decades, you see, HR was seen as a support function. It was focused on operational tasks such as recruiting, such as payroll, labor relation, disciplinary management. So let's say a traditional model that was focused on rules, was focused on processes, on paperwork, rather than people. So employees were often seen as resources rather than individuals that have unique needs and also aspirations. Fortunately, things have changed. Today, HR is about creating a positive employee experience and also supporting people through their professional journey in our companies. So this new model, a modern model, includes, as you can see, employee well-being, engagement, internal communication, social sustainability, gender equity, diversity, inclusion, also people analytics. We will see a more engaged approach on the training, people development. So many things that evolved the traditional model into the modern one in the HR. An example from Bologna Airport, we implemented a people strategy focusing on two pillars. So you see, these two pillars are included in the overall strategy of the company. The two that regards the people and the HR department are the care. You can see is focused on people and organization development and also in engaging the airport community, but also a pillar that is about performing a sustainable corporation, which includes all initiatives regarding sustainability in general, but also social sustainability in particular. And you can see, for instance, about our social sustainability strategy that we have also the gender equality and diversity inclusion theme. For example, we reached in 2022 two important certifications about that. The PDR 125, that is an Italian accreditation, Italian certification on gender equality, but also the ISO 30 and 415 that regards D&I initiatives, two important certification that as airports we achieved in 2022. We are also strongly committed on economic growth, you see, not only for our workforce, but in general, also for the community, for the territory, and the overall system in general, in order to achieve a more CSR approach, corporate social responsibility approach. And in the next slide, you will see also something about our welfare program and well-being. We have a very completed and detailed welfare program for our employees. You can see health and insurance, free counseling services, where we have flexible benefits, supplementary pension, mobility programs, also corporate gym we have in our airport, and healthy restoration services. So many things regarding welfare and well-being of people in our airport, not only from the Bologna company itself, but for the airport community in general. So let's move on the next topic that is about people analytics. That is my theme. I work with data and people data every day in Bologna Airport. You see, HR today is not just about emotions, intuition. It's also about data. People analytics can help us make informed decisions using the real workforce insights. So we are able to answer some important questions about our people, such as how engaged are our employees, why are employees leaving, for example, how can we retain them, about performance, productivity, which teams are performing best and why, and of course, are our employees happy, how we can improve their employee experience. So these are some questions that we try to answer with data. And going deeper on what we did in Bologna Airport, we launched a project that is called People Analytics for Everyone. And this project had the goals to try to foster a data-driven decision-making in HR, to provide also some user-friendly tools for HR colleagues and for reporting, also to achieve some certification, as I said before, for gender equality and diversity inclusion, for example. And what were the results? The results of that, we improved the decision making based on data. We fostered the reporting, and also we have a more engaged HR team because they can have all data they need in a very, very easy way. And you can see in the next slide a screenshot of the HR dashboard that we have in Bologna Airport. We implemented it using Power BI, and we shared it via SharePoint, the Microsoft tool. This allows HR, but also the CEO and all the management board to monitor key indicators about HR, such as, for example, the head count that you see in the slide, but also turnover trends, absenteeism level, productivity. For example, we have some indicators monitoring passengers on full-time equivalent, for example, but also training initiatives, compensation, gender pay gap, and also other D&I metrics. We have a very, very complete reporting on that that is shared in our company. So let's move on the last topic that I would like to discuss with you in this short presentation. But of course, if there are any questions, I can try to answer. How AI is transforming HR functions. You see, artificial intelligence is changing in many ways, in multiple ways. It will help us in, for example, automate recruiting. There are AI tools that can screen and CVs, identify top candidates for our job descriptions. Also, we can personalize learning and development. AI can suggest us training based on individual needs of our people. We will improve also performance management. We will have a real-time feedback and also some coaching approach from AI. And of course, all that is regarding the workforce planning will be powered with AI, predicting gaps and needs of our workforce. And of course, AI has some opportunities, but also some challenges, some threats that we have to keep in mind in our considerations. Opportunities, yes, we can increase efficiency through the automation of repetitive tasks. We can have personalized employee experience. We can have also a smarter and data-driven decision approach. But on the other side, there are some challenges that we have to keep in mind. For example, bias, ethical risks that AI has. AI can unintentionally discriminate if trained on biased data. We could have a loss of human touch. Somehow, AI must be supported by the human interaction, not replaced by softwares, by machines. And last but not least, also transparency and the regulation. HR must ensure that the fear in the ethical use of AI is guaranteed in our companies. So an example of AI that we have in Bologna Airport, we test because it's in a POC phase, proof of concept at the moment. We test an LLM model that we call the Luca. It is an Italian name, and it is an AI-powered chatbot that is based on internal procedures, and it's based on the internal documentation that we have in our database. Employees can ask to Luca about HR policies, about safety rules, about operational procedures, how to do. It reduces the response time, of course, and improves also the accessibility of these things to people. So let's keep in mind that AI should enhance HR, not replace HR. And we must balance for the automation with empathy and ethical responsibilities. So, in conclusion, for the moment, to summarize, the future of HR is, of course, shaped by three key trends. There is a shift from administration to the employee experience. There is the importance of people analytics and data in making strategic HR decisions, and also the rise of the artificial intelligence offering both opportunities and challenges. So we at Bologna Airport are trying to embrace this transformation with a data-driven approach, some AI tools, some POCs, and of course a commitment to the employee welfare and well-being. So that's all for the moment for my presentation. Thank you for your time, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and also try to answer to your question if you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. This was really a very insightful presentation and a case study on Bologna Airport. I see there is one question in the chat from Maxim Romanenko. Can you please share an example of automated feedback for performance management done by AI?
Well, we have no developed any tool at the moment in Bologna Airport, so I do not have a practical example. But on the market, we see there are very many tools that can also, based on performance management indicators, performance management data that are collected in our companies, they can find gaps. They can find also patterns. They can find also solutions to give more personalized feedbacks to people, to try to give them some indications on how they can perform better, or how they can also try to achieve some skill, try to fill the gap between they have also on their skills, on their knowledge. So also AI will give us a very important help on this, and also will foster, will enhance the employee experience on that. Consider also that often for managers it's not easy to give feedback to people, and also from a manager perspective, it could be a very useful help to give people some feedback also based on data, and not only on perceptions, and not only on feelings that managers could have.
Okay, thank you. This was very elaborative reply. There is no other questions. I have a question to you, Christian. You spoke a lot about importance of people analytics, but what about best practices of leveraging data analytics in HR decision making? Can you share some examples from your airport?
Yes, of course. We have to start with the right question. Let me say, because the risk is that we can collect data just for the sake of it. HR should ask first the right questions data. So, for example, which insights will help to improve talent retention, for example, or what factors maybe could drive the employee performance. So to try to answer to this question, we have to use data in the correct way. For example, we can try to answer to the first question to try to predict, for example, the turnover risks before they become problems. So this is the very, very key way we can anticipate problems, trying also to use AI to predict, for example. Of course, also making data accessible to everyone is a very, very key strategy, because HR teams often need user-friendly applications, can allow managers to extract insights also on a real-time basis. So, Bologna Airport, we implemented this dashboard, this people analytics dashboard, that integrates a very, very large panel of data, engagement, turnover, performance, trying, of course, to reduce the reporting time, for example, try to improve the decision making, help achieve also certification, for example. So this dashboard, this tool is very useful in multiple ways to our managers, our CEO, and all management board.
That's great. So I think this is a good transition talking about tools and all the data-driven technology. I think we can move to our second speaker, Hélène Strayer from LOGYX. She's the head of programs, and she will present us implementation of pre-selection tool in airport security recruitment. Hélène, the floor is yours. Good
Thank
morning.
you so much. So I will be presenting today research that was actually, it's a case study that lessons learned from the Paris Olympic Games in 2024. So we developed and implemented a predictive pre-selection tool for airport security officers. So the idea was how can we better recruit, and how can we make sure that the recruitment is of a high quality. First of all,
one moment, can you please enlarge your screen?
Sorry, enlarge my screen.
Full screen.
It's not full screen?
No.
Is it full screen?
No, not yet.
Oh, so that was not supposed to happen. Let me try again. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Nope. Is this better?
Yes, yeah, works well. Thank you.
Here you go. So let's start over again. So I'm here to present a research that has been done in the context of the Paris Olympics Games in 2024, and how we use this a special tool to have a more predictive approach to recruitment and improve airport security. So first of all, we're all aware of that, but we are in an unstable world today, and more than it was 2 weeks ago or 7 weeks ago, I would say. And we have challenges that regarding global travel safety. For example, when we think about, it's not just about screening passengers. Today, when we look at the situation in Europe, there's recent geopolitical and security developments regarding like the war in Ukraine are rising tensions with Russia and threatens Europe's stability. We know that there's US and Canada trade tensions, but US and Europe trade tensions also. It reduces the security cooperation and increases the hybrid threats. We know that airports are prime targets for terrorism and cyber attacks, and that they've always been, and it's going to continue. So I'm sorry for that information, but airport security, airports are our target. When we look at BlackRock geopolitical risk dashboard, what we see is that the level of major attacks in 2025 are as high as they were in 2017. So something is changing, and we have to be ready for that. So security strategies must evolve, and as geopolitical risks redefine the global threat landscape. Last week, Emmanuel Macron, French president, was saying that the innocence of the last 30 years since the fall of the Berlin Wall is over, and Europe really must take its security into its own hands. The future of our continent cannot be decided by Washington or Moscow. And that was a direct response to Donald Trump, March 2025, where he stated that the United States will no longer pay for Europeans' defense. If European nations want security, they must take responsibility for their own protections. So I think it's something that we really need to understand, that security, airport security, is not just a regular task, but it really needs to focus on those agents and who they are and the way they're working. It matters because the consequences of inadequate selection can be very, very harmful. For example, yes, we do background checks, we do technical assessments. Yes, what we know also is that there's unscreened behavioral risk that we are not assessing today. There's an increased insider threat, there's bribery, there's operational failures. And the consequences of all this is that we can have airport shutdowns and flight delays, and that has an economical cost. We have public safety that is compromised, and a loss of trust in airport security and in the airport in a broader approach. So the question is, how do behavioral risk of insider threat? How can we assess this? So the current problem is that traditional recruitment methods verify background, but they fail to assess behavioral risks like stress response or ethical judgment or the capacity of the person to adjust or to adapt to a situation. So many of our agents are selected based on administrative criteria. So that would be background checks, diplomas, but not really on their ability to handle stress, stay ethical, and react quickly. So our objective was to bridge this gap by building a predictive assessment that would evaluate reliability, integrity, crisis decision making, and ensure security personnel are truly prepared for the real world challenges that we just exposed. What is how do when psychological and ethical weakness lead to security breaches? We have recent examples. For example, in 2019, in Miami Airport, there was a sabotage. An aircraft mechanic deliberately sabotaged the plane. The failure was because psychological instability that was undetected and had major security risks and flight disruption. But very lately in France, we had two cases where in Orly Airport, where there's a border police officer that facilitated drug smuggling. The reason was he had a financial vulnerability. He had a high risk of corruption, and the impact was 47 kilos of cocaine that was trafficked before being intercepted. And then very, very recently, there's a smuggling network that was uncovered, where 11 ex-border police officers ran a cocaine trafficking ring. So that was actually an abuse of power. That's a clear insider threat where they were using their position to facilitate a drug network. So these failures actually, they really share a common root. It's the absence of psychological and ethical screening in the recruitment phase. So as we see traditional recruitment, yes, there are background checks, there's technical skills assessments, but the lack of evaluating the integrity and the ethical decision-making evaluation and pre-employment psychological risk detection is actually a high-risk approach, because the problem is detected after the person is actually hired and into the role. So by adding integrity and ethical decision-making evaluations and adding pre-employment psychological risk detection, actually what we're trying to do is identifying the risk before the person is actually trained in a very sensitive training and in his position. So behavioral stress testing, that's stimulating decision making under pressure. That's one of the topics that we have to evaluate. The other one is hybrid threat simulation, training against misinformation manipulation, and that is one of the threats that everybody's talking about now. Early risk detection, that's spotting people who will have vulnerabilities before they get hired. So the idea is not to cancel the candidate screening, because that's a very important phase of the recruitment process. But we need to add this candidate screening with predictive risk analysis and risk classification and selection. When there's low risk, we recommend for hiring. Moderate risk needs additional screening. And high risk, we reject the person due to security concerns. So what we think is, by integrating predictive risk assessment, we strengthen the security, reduce insider threats, and build a more resilient airport personnel. So now from the theory to the practice. So here's our study. So the question was how human factor assessment transforms security, performance, and risk mitigation. So what we did is in the context was the following. So ahead of the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, 58 law enforcement volunteers stepped forward to reinforce the security within airport infrastructures. The government was very scared that we would not have enough security airport officers to handle the complexity of the event. So 58 volunteers approached us and approached their superiors and said that they were volunteers to help with this task. They all underwent specialized assessment to ensure they met the high standards of securing an international event. So the assessment and evaluations were centered on personality and communication skills, on integrity and ethical judgment, on linguistic abilities, French and English, and cognitive reasoning and decision making. And also natural aptitudes for analyzing X-ray imagery, because we all know it's a very complicated image and not everybody is able to understand that type of image naturally. So we did have very high ethical considerations. So all our participants agreed to use their anonymized data for research purpose. We fully complied with the GDPR regulation, and we adhered to strict confidentiality and ethical compliance with guidelines. So that's very important for me to say that, because I will not be saying names, and I will not be, there's some information will be missing. So what the traditional approach revealed. So first of all, they all got their background checks. Everybody was clear. They are law enforcement personnel, so of course that part was okay. Linguistic skills: French 87%. That's a high proficiency. English good with some variabilities, but they were actually good. They were actually all good in linguistic skills. Regarding the cognitive abilities, logical reasoning, 95%. So it was excellent amongst the 58% that were the 58 volunteers. 3D was a little bit challenging, but with training that we could actually upgrade the level. So with this traditional recruitment data, we can't really. Everybody would be hired, because we can't identify who are the high potential candidates amongst those 58 persons and who are the ones at risk. So step one, basic eligibility criteria, everyone passes. Step two, traditional recruitment test. Okay, so we've got people who are maybe a little bit more fragile in certain aspects, but with recruiting it would be okay. But what's really missing is who has the best integrity and the ethics, who remains effective under stress, who is vulnerable to manipulation or corruptions. So beyond technical skills, the human factor in security is a really important approach. So what we did, the key dimensions that we found is that we used factor analysis to categorize competencies in three essential dimensions. So first dimension, integrity and ethics, that really emphasizes on resistance to corruption and strong responsibility. The second point was stress resilience and crisis management, that refers to maintaining performance under pressure. The third one was leadership and decision-making, involves inspiring others and making quick, effective decisions. So that was three main dimensions identified amongst the different tests that they were undertaking. So they really addressed challenges faced by security personnel on a day-to-day basis. So what we insight from the cross analysis, that we correlated technical skills with psychological traits. What that means is that we took the answers, the response on the cognitive side, and we crossed them with the psychological aspects. What would reveal is that the candidates might excel technically. They might be very, very performant on the technical side, but they can also struggle with crisis. Integrity and resilience are often overlooked in traditional recruitment, and the most technically skilled are not always the best for security roles. So our goal was to identify high-performing candidates who can excel under pressure, detect high-risk profiles that's susceptible to stress or manipulation, and tailor a training program to enhance strengths and address weaknesses. So that's the three factors that we were looking at was those three. So to really refine the candidate assessment beyond technical skills, that we applied a hierarchical clustering approach that groups actually individuals based on their shared characteristics. So by doing so, we revealed 5 different profiles, each reflecting strengths and vulnerabilities. So I will be showing you a dendrogram. So what it is, it represents the candidates cluster based on their cognitive, psychological, and ethical traits. So what we did is we took their assessments in the cognitive era, psychological era, and ethical traits, and we mixed them together, and we tried to see if we had specific profiles that were emerging. So the closer the branch were, the more similar the individuals are in competence and behaviors. And larger the distance, the more different they are. So it looks a little bit like this. So what we see is on the 58% who actually were volunteer, we have 5 different groups of people. Each group represents a unique combination of technical skills, integrity, stress resilience, and leadership potential. The first group was identified as high potential leaders, strong across all dimensions, ideal for supervisory roles, for example, so that people who will be able not just be able to take the role, but also grow as a leader into the team. The second group was ethically sound, but maybe sometimes a little bit limited on the operational side. They have high integrity, but struggles with like crisis management, for example, where they can they can be destabilized. We had a third group that were technically skilled, but at high risk, that they would have very strong reasoning, but they're really more vulnerable on stress failure. The fourth group was visual cognitive specialists. They were excellent in image interpretation, but lacks leadership. And the fifth group, security concerns, where they had low resilience, poor crisis decision-making, and ethical vulnerabilities. So what does this mean? Traditional recruitment doesn't differentiate these profiles. Every team seems qualified. If you remember, if we take the traditional approach, everybody would pass. But with this clustering, what we uncover is that we have hidden vulnerabilities, and identifying them helps optimize role assignment and training needs. So the key findings is that some candidates had poor stress management. The most reliable agents scored high integrity and stress management, and top performers were technically skilled and excelled under pressure. So a candidate might have excellent technical skills, but if they panic under pressure or make a questionable decision, they become a security risk, actually. So that's the graphic that came out of it. So you really can see the differences. So what was the decision made? A ranking was applied amongst all volunteers. Actually, there was only 12 positions open, so that's why only 12 people got selected, and to integrate the very sensible training in terms of information provided regarding airport security. So actually, the recruitment was faster, fewer errors, data-driven decision. We actually reduced internal risk by less fraud, more transparency, and a new standard for airport security, a method that should be implemented across Europe. Actually, people have a tendency of saying when you add assessments or you try to you can make the process very long. And actually, it's not the case. What you do is you securize the process. So standardizing these methods for all airport security recruitment, I think is something we should think about. And expanding the tool to other high-risk sectors could also be something we could do. I'm thinking about nuclear, cybersecurity, defense. So the next steps, what would it be? It would be to integrate behavioral and psychological assessment into security recruitment, train recruiters on the emerging threats also, and make them realize the responsibility they have when they hire somebody, and standardize these practices across Europe. So the question is, would your airport security team be ready for tomorrow's crisis? And it's a real question that I'm asking you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Hélène, for your thorough research. I see that the predictive preselection tool has many advantages and will be able to address current security threats and risks. Yes, we live in the world where geopolitical events are happening weekly, almost daily. We all observe that on the news. However, let's look at this topic from another side. We are based in Europe. ACI Europe is based in Brussels, the capital of European decision making. So my question is, what about European regulation related to assessment of psychological status, psychological behavior of potential employees? Do you think that this legislation should be mandatory to all airports? What do you think?
Actually, since 2015, EU regulation says that we have to evaluate on physical and mental aptitudes of everybody who is wants to be hired in this very particular domain. The problem is and was that by saying physical and mental aptitudes, you've said everything and you've said nothing. So that was the major problem. So what are we supposed to assess? The French Civil Aviation actually did a major work on this topic, and there's a guide that will be very shortly offered to actually French people, French specialists, regarding what are the criterias, and actually integrity, honesty, leadership are amongst the criterias that we'll have to evaluate. So it's not just the world is changing, and what we're understanding is that if we stay with a very traditional approach, we're missing 80% of the person we're hiring. So the idea is, how can we juggle between, we need to go fast because the world is going very fast and there's the market obligation, but at the same time assure that the hiring process is secure and that the people we hire are actually, we can trust them by giving them the keys to the airport.
Perfect. Thank you for your answer. That's great. I don't see any questions from our participants in the chat. So then we move to our third speaker. Thank you, Hélène. And we are moving to our third speaker, Teresa Pope from Ethos Farm. Teresa is Employee Experience Director, and she will speak about the strategy of implementing employee experience and moving from traditional HR to modern approach. Teresa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Julia, and good morning, everyone. Just going to share my screen, if you just bear with me a second. Okay, can everyone see that?
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, wonderful. Let's just move this out the way. Yes, good morning. I am Teresa Pope, and I am Employee Experience Director, as Julia said. I was formerly HR Director, what we have done at Ethos Farm is we have made a strategic decision to completely transition from a traditional HR model to a full 100% EX model. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is what led us to make that decision, and some of the information that we looked at that helped sort of point us in that direction. So first of all, oh, has that moved? Try.
Let's try again. Yes. Teresa, you are mute. Please unmute yourself.
That I'm not sure how I did that, but thank you. So first of all, for those of you who don't know much about Ethos Farm, I think what we do is quite key to the decision that we have made. So I'll just tell you a little bit about us and what we do. That's still not changing. It's very odd. Let's try again. There we go. It's a bit temperamental this morning, apologies. Okay, Ethos Farm experience is king, and people are at the heart of every great experience. So we believe that frontline customer-facing workforces are the most important make or break factor in many organisational, in many customer experiences, and with the right culture and crafted employee experience, truly elevated customer service and customer engagement is possible. And this is the foundation upon which Ethos Farm was created. So we have 4 verticals. We have our consultancy vertical, and we work with companies around the world to identify and develop their CX and EX strategies and then to deliver them. We then have our amazingly talented and technical learning and innovation team who develop bespoke training solutions to support and develop teams. And this could be face-to-face training, virtual reality training, or e-learning in whatever format that's required. We then have our people solutions vertical, where we work on client sites to actually deliver that customer experience, and we provide this service at airports around the world, within retail, rail, hospitality and concierge. So our business really is all about customer experience and employee experience. And finally, we have our data and insights vertical, which means that we are now able to provide real-time data and insights, which are invaluable to our clients in supporting everything we do. And very quickly, you know, we do believe that people are your most important brand ambassadors, because every encounter with them is an opportunity to deliver excellence, and we provide a comprehensive end-to-end approach that's tailored to an organisation's needs. So we start by defining a service vision, then we recruit or 2P as it may be, motivate and lead ambassadors that reflect a client's brand and connect them with the bespoke learning solutions to bring that service vision to life, and then data underpins everything we do. And these are some of the clients that we have the absolute pleasure to be working with around the world. So what made us make the decision? I mean, this is such a huge topic that I'm going to be giving a very, very high level overview of the process that led us to decide to take this course of action and make this transition. It's just not transitioning again. I'm so sorry about this. Let's try again now. There we go. Okay, so why first of all, I think, did we make this decision? There we go. The concept of human resources has traditionally centred around managing the fundamental aspects of employment, such as recruitment, payroll, benefits, and compliance with legislation. And I think Esposito actually referred to that earlier on when he spoke. And while these are essential functions, they represent only a fraction of what's necessary to cultivate a thriving workforce, especially in today's world. But human resources itself can feel limiting and impersonal, whereas the term employee experience it embodies a more comprehensive, people-centered approach that aligns better with modern organizational values, and especially Ethos Farm values. Okay, so people are increasingly looking for more than a job. They seek a meaningful experience that promotes engagement, growth, and well-being. I think this shift in employee expectations necessitates a corresponding shift in how we manage our people. And yes, EX goes beyond the traditional HR scope because it considers every aspect of a colleague's interaction with the company from the moment they apply for a position. It's about creating a supportive, enriching environment where everyone feels valued and motivated. Transitioning from HR to EX reflects a modern approach that recognises colleagues as whole individuals. It's about acknowledging emotions, aspirations, and personal lives, and also acknowledging that they are integral to their work life, to everyone's work life. And Ethos Farm are leading the way, I think, in making the transformative shift to employee experience. So we're effectively retiring HR as it was, so that we can really focus on the importance of employee experience within the workplace. And we're visibly endorsing the belief that just as customer experience is vital to any business, EX is equally essential in creating a thriving a modern workplace. So in our research and looking at this, we came across so many statistics that support this transition, and I thought I'd share some of the key ones with you today. Sorry, it's it seems to have a mind of its own today. I'll try now. Okay, companies with high employee engagement outperform competitors by 23% in profitability. We're seeing more and more stats now that correlate the join up between employee engagement, employee experience, and the service that a company offers. Employees who feel heard are 4.6 times more likely to perform at their best. And in aviation, I think we all know this one, that turnover rates have hit up to 50% post-pandemic, specifically in deskless roles. And airports using ACI World's Voice of the Employee survey saw 20% higher engagement scores. So, you know, it's becoming evident that actually the way the employees think, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what's in their hearts and their minds is really important to that employee experience piece. And so we appreciate that it's time for a more holistic approach, holistic progression in how we look at and how we approach managing our people. So we asked ourselves, when we're thinking in terms of elevating employee experience, we asked ourselves, what is good employee experience? And we surmised that good employee experience is the holistic creation of a supportive, engaging and seamless journey for employees, where every interaction from attraction to alumni and everything in between results in satisfaction, well-being and a sense of purpose. And this is where we want to get to at Ethos Farm. This is where every interaction has value to that point. And we ask ourselves the question, what if every touch point in a colleague's journey made them feel valued, included and empowered, and what that would look like for a business and for our organisation. And this is the ultimate goal that we have set ourselves. So part of this was looking forward. Part of this decision was looking forward, looking at what lays ahead, and we looked at what the 5-year employer landscape looked like. And while we were doing this, we discovered a number of anticipated challenges that we might be facing. Firstly, the end of the traditional employer-employee contract. The workforce is definitely shifting from job security to value alignment. People expect their work to be meaningful, flexible and aligned with their personal values. And I think if organisations fail to offer purpose-driven work, career personalisation and social impact, they will struggle to retain top talent. And the World Economic Forum have anticipated that by 2030, up to 50% of the workforce could be freelancers or contract workers, because the gig economy is experiencing rapid growth now. And this will force companies to completely rethink their strategies entirely. Work-life integration will overtake work-life balance. I think really people no longer seek balance between work and life. What they want is a seamless integration where work fits into their lives and not the other way around. And I think companies that don't offer the personalised, flexible working arrangements may lose talent to those who do. Also, and financial and lifestyle well-being will become the #1 retention factor. I think with inflation and economic shifts, people are increasingly prioritising holistic financial well-being, such as student loan support, mortgage assistance, inflation-adjusted salaries. And I think traditional benefits like pensions and insurance will no longer be enough. By 2027, according to Deloitte, 80% of workers will demand personalised financial benefits. And I think like on-demand pay, backed investment plans, employer-backed investment plans, and all these things are going to make a difference. And we're trying to offer quite a few of those at the moment at Ethos Farm. I think companies that fail to address this, are likely to lose talent to those offering almost new age financial perks, if you like. Employee well-being will become a legal obligation. Governments are already considering laws mandating mental health support, with many countries now considering the right to disconnect outside of working hours. I think legislation enable people to disengage outside working hours has been or is being adopted by several countries around the world now, and we're currently considering it in the UK under the UK Labour government. And by 2026, I think we should expect to see legislation that requires companies to integrate wellbeing policies, for example, mandatory mental health leave, burnout prevention programs. And I think ignoring proactive mental health support could lead to facing higher risks of litigation, possible fines, and most importantly, reputational damage. AI and automation will expose companies with poor EX. I think if EX isn't, with AI automating repetitive tasks, the human side of work will be the differentiator. And I think if it isn't built around the human connection and fulfillment, AI-driven workplaces risk feeling soulless, which on its own doesn't make for a good experience. And McKinsey predict that by 2030, 70% of the remaining jobs will require high emotional intelligence, creativity, and relationship building. Otherwise, this will push people to seek companies that prioritise humanity over efficiency. So our 5-year forecast, we believe, as I'm going to share a few key points with you now, but we believe that though most successful employers will be those who transform EX into a career ecosystem, rather than having a rigid employment structure. Businesses need to redesign roles around flexibility. I think those who don't adopt this approach are most likely to experience an exodus of skilled professionals to more adaptive companies. It will be important for employers to shift from generic salary structures. I think introducing customised financial wellbeing programs will attract and retain top talent. And EX must embed wellbeing into the workday rather than treating it as a separate initiative. I think EX is going to be part of everything every day within the workplace moving forward. And it will be important to create AI integrated EX models that enhance rather than replace the human element of work. And I think that's going to be really, really important. So what does this 5-year landscape or forecast mean for our desk lists and our frontline teams? There's a few key considerations that I would like to share with you. Firstly, I mean, freelance and gig work aren't just for office jobs. More and more frontline, we're seeing more and more frontline workers are choosing flexible on-demand work instead of traditional full-time employment. Ground crews, security and hospitality employees are increasingly moving to gig-like platforms. We have in the UK, we have Stint and Indeed Flex. I think we all are aware that frontline workers have unique work-life balance challenges. They have long shifts, unpredictable hours and often physical demands. And I think it's going to be really important that we look at we look at how we can address that. And a 2023 study by Schedulo found that 70% of deskless workers would have stayed longer in their roles if employers were able to provide more schedule flexibility. So what this means for employers: implementing dynamic scheduling platforms that enable people to swap or pick shifts easily is going to be really, really important moving forward. Offer seasonal cross-functional training to provide career flexibility and create internal gig style models. This is going to be very, very important. If we want to retain the people that we have, we need to really look at how we can incorporate that flexibility within those shift patterns and that role. The global market for freelance platforms is projected to grow from 4.8 billion to 13.8 billion by 2030. So incorporating this into internal scheduling models is going to be a really important aspect of EX moving forward and retaining that talent. So my final thoughts to today is why prioritise EX? And we asked ourselves this question, and then we realised actually the question isn't why prioritise EX, it's can we afford not to? And I think the next 5 years will redefine the workplace as we know it, and specifically for frontline and deskless workers. And we believe that prioritising a complete EX approach will be the key to ensuring we continue to maintain relevance in the job market and also attract and retain top talent, which will further enhance our goal and everyone's goal to provide elevated employee and customer experience. And that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Teresa. This is really great to see the employers and employees experience changing. So we are going from traditional human resources approach to EX strategy and methodology. I particularly liked the personalized financial benefits and, of course, more flexibility on the work-life, work scheduling, and so on. I do not see any questions from participants on the chat, so feel free to post any question you may have to Teresa. In the meantime, my question would be, what do you think is the biggest challenge transitioning from traditional HR to EX? Are there any big challenges? Of course, it takes time. You presented the 5-year plan, and of course, there are many research papers that say that it takes time to gradually transition to that. But what do you think? What is the biggest challenge in this transition?
Oh gosh, I think a couple. To be honest, I think it's important to get leadership buy-in, and obviously at Ethos Farm, that's our business. So and that's our leaders very much drive that. So I've been quite lucky in that respect to have that support. But I think this isn't always going to be the case, and I think for HR and EX professionals, I think if leadership doesn't prioritize this transition and moving towards much more EX focused model, then it won't gain traction at all, and that will be really difficult. So I think the solution to that is to provide position EX as a business growth driver. It's not just an HR function. It's not just expanding the HR. It actually is a key business driver. And I think sometimes technology and data gaps can, if a company lacks the tools to be able to measure EX effectively, then that's going to have an impact. I think so. Investing in employee listening tools, I would say, it's really important to be able to understand and hear what your teams are saying. And of course, like the EX dashboards, as Esposito was talking about, is going to be really important. You may find some cultural resistance. There's always, possibility of that when things have been working a certain way for so long. And I think if you can show the return on investment of EX through business performance improvements and through this data analytics, then that will absolutely support you in doing that.
Okay, thank you. That's great. I see that we have 2 more questions in the chat. However, I would suggest taking them by the end of all our presentations. And therefore, I would like to lead, Teresa, you mentioned about the leadership and importance of leadership in this transition from traditional HR to EX approach. So therefore, we come to our next speaker, Natasa Iacovidis from Hermes Airport, who will tell us exactly about leadership efficiency, leadership competencies, values, corporate culture, and how it all encompasses the broader spectrum of employee experience at work.
Hello,
Natasa, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Guillermo.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I will share with you today our story, our transformation journey, and the focus and the importance of culture and leadership in creating a healthy organization and providing an employee experience. So a few words about our company. Hermes Airport was established in 2006, a 25-year BOT agreement with the government, where there are 9 shareholders, 5 companies from abroad and 4 companies from Cyprus. The new Paphos terminal was delivered in 2008. and the new terminal, the Larnaca terminal, was completed and delivered in 2009. So everything started in 2013, where it was a very difficult and challenging year for Cyprus and for our organization. In Cyprus, there was a financial crisis and there was a significant reduction in passenger traffic, where within our company, there was a change in top management. A new CEO joined our organization. And in regards to employment and people, employee morale was low. They were not very much engaged. They were feeling insecure about their jobs. And most importantly, there was a lack of trust in leadership, Hermes leadership. So as you can see, the satisfaction level, it was at 3.18 out of 5. It was that year when the new CEO initiated the first strategic workshop, where the top management of Hermes, together with the directors, they met in order to decide the next steps for our organization and the strategic priorities. It was then when people became one of the 6 strategic priorities. And our goal was to be an employer of choice. We wanted to create a healthy organization with strong leadership and high performance culture. We wanted people to feel respected, to be given both professional and personal developmental opportunities, embracing individuality and human values, I'm reading it, whilst ensuring a safe and sustainable working environment with people at the core of what we do. So the next step, we needed to see our culture. We needed to ensure that we had a culture reflecting our values and supporting our vision and strategic priorities. So with the assistance of Deloitte, our external consultants, and the involvement of everyone in the organization, we proceeded with a culture audit. We asked everyone in the organization to assess the existing culture of the company and the top management to define the desired culture. As you can see from the graph in front of you, there was a huge gap between the existing and the desired culture. So what we needed to do, we needed to bridge this gap. So we proceeded and we revisited all our people practices. The first and most important thing is we needed to define our values, who we are. And as you can see from here, again, all this, it was with the involvement with the management team of our company. So basically our values, it says here, trustworthy, results-oriented, proud of our achievements, and caring for our customers, colleagues, society, and environment. And at the core of this graph you see here is the S1. In order for us to achieve whatever we want to achieve, we need to work together as a team. So these values then were translated to core competencies, which apply to everyone in the organization. So from the CEO to the coordinator, all of us, we have these core competencies, which then were incorporated into our performance management system. So our core competencies is agility, demonstrate agility, be flexible, unity, drives unity, act as one, achieve exceptional results, and philoxenia, which is a Greek word for hospitality. So to act as ambassadors of philoxenia. And then again, if you want to proceed with a change, that will start with the leadership team of the organization. Our leaders were well educated, but they needed support in improving their people management skills and self-awareness. So in this area, leadership development, the focus was on develop leadership competency framework, and then to work together with our leaders on individual and collective leadership. So we are designed the leadership competency framework, where, as you can see here, is visionary, to be able to see the bigger picture, authentic, to be true and genuine, inspired to lead by example, and connect to be tuned and in touch with the people. And then we introduced for the first time the 360-degree feedback on leadership and core competencies for managers and 180-degree feedback for team leaders and duty managers, because it's really important for us when someone achieves her targets. Is not only important to achieve the goal and the target, but also the way you achieve this target. So it was really important for our leaders to be assessed by their boss, peers, and subordinates on these core and leadership competencies. And these are included in the performance management system. At the end of the year, the management team, besides their targets, they are also assessed on these competencies. The second thing that we have introduced as a part, this is a part of their development, okay? We introduced the leadership circle profile. As you can see from the graph here, basically this model is telling you that in order for you to be a good leader, you need to be more full at the upper part of the circle and not that much at the bottom part of the circle, where the upper part is talking about creativity, and it has relating, self-awareness, authenticity, systems awareness, and achieving, where the lower part is more about reactive tendencies, and it has to do with complying, protecting, and controlling. So this exercise, exercise and journey is being repeated every 2 years. And we started with the top management, and then we proceeded with the managers. And the last, a year ago, we introduced this tool also to the team leaders. And again, through this exercise, leaders, they need to do a self-assessment, and then they are assessed by their peers, boss, and subordinates, and then they are having one-on-one coaching in order to decide the area that they would like to improve. And with the help with their coach, they are proceeding on with the plan on how to improve that area. And again, another important thing is a collective leadership. So basically, this is a circle in real life, let's say, okay? So here we collect all the individual results. And as you can see, in 2014, our circle as a team, we were heavy at the bottom, more reactive tendencies. And in 2023, we are really happy to see that the upper part of the circle has been improved, is more full, where the bottom one gets a bit thinner, and that was the goal. Another thing, because we are believing very much that in order for people to interact, collaborate, communicate, it's really important also to know first themselves. So because we are giving emphasis on self-awareness, what we also did, it was to introduce the Enneagram profile to our leaders, which basically offers insights into core personality traits, core motivations, triggers, defense mechanisms, and fears, helping our leaders to understand better themselves, understand their colleagues, and improve collaboration and communication. And I am very happy also to mention that this year, actually, we already started. We are introducing this Enneagram profile to the team members. This year, we are running it for our office employees, and next year, we are going to introduce it to our shift employees. And leadership workshops is an ongoing process for us. Every year, we are running a 3-day workshop, and here are some of the workshops we have done over the last few years. As I said, it's an ongoing process for us. Another important thing, which is a huge responsibility for our leaders, the talent management and succession planning. Leaders are responsible to develop talents in the organization. This is how we see it, acting as mentors and being a part of tomorrow's new leaders. And it's really important for us because we wanted to ensure leadership continuity and technical expertise. So we are using the 9-box matrix tool, but before I mentioned the box, the first thing that we did with the management team, it was to define what talent is for us, for Hermes, because for any organization, there is a different definition. So for us, is individuals who are willing to go beyond and what is expected from their role, exhibit passion for their work and embrace our core values. They are also recognized for achieving ambitious results and making an impact that contributes to Hermes Airport future success. So basically, we are using this 9-box matrix tool, and the people who fall within the 4 boxes inside the red frame, they are considered to be talents. And then together with their managers, we are developing their personal development plans and also reviewing their remuneration packages. It doesn't mean that we are not proceeding, we are not doing anything about the rest of the employees, for sure. I mean, the development plans remuneration applies to everyone in the organization, but for these people, there is an additional plan in order to help them grow and stay in the organization and be productive, happy, and yes. So another important thing that I would like to share with you, because I'm very happy with this program, is our well-being program. As we talked about leadership, we talked about culture. The well-being program that we have in place is a part of a culture and the healthy organization that we want to have as Hermes. So we, in 2017, we developed this ACI Being Well program, which basically is telling you that in order for a human being to be happy and healthy, these 8 dimensions need to be balanced. So every year we are introducing and providing a number of initiatives across all 8 areas of well-being. And here I'm just mentioning few. We are having on-site health checks, blood tests taking place at our terminals. So it's easier for employees to do their blood tests and their health checks without running around to go to a doctor. And, sometimes because of the busy schedule you have, you are ignoring it. So we are bringing the doctor here in the organization. The other important thing for us is the safe space, which is basically a collaboration we have with a psychoanalyst here in Cyprus. So people, if they want to have sessions with the psychoanalyst, they have the freedom to do so. And the agreement I have with the psychoanalyst is that I don't want to know who is attending. I just want to know how many people attended and how many sessions they had in order for me to pay. And this service is not for only work-related matters, but for anything that bother people and they would like to speak with someone in order to find a solution. Because also we have the executive coaching within the company. So if they want to talk about work-related issues, they can talk with us or through the coaching process or as HR and their manager. And another big thing that makes us happy is in 2023, we start organizing the annual wellness retreats. And we have seen that in 2023, we had 14 people attending. Last year, we had 24 people attending. So I believe this year we are going to have even more. So we are giving that space to our employees, whoever wants to attend. We are giving that space where they can switch off. And we are introducing them to something new, something different, which will help them with their, I'm not going to say mental health, but physical, mental, yes, I would say health. Okay. So, and also we are giving them a new way of seeing things, and also that there are different ways that we can be happy and different ways that we can learn to apply in order to slow down and be in contact with and connected more with ourselves. So where we are today, 11 years from a steady evolution and growth in our leadership team has brought results. Our values are deeply embedded in every aspect of our organization. The culture is truly reflective of all the efforts over the years. As you can see from 2013, where the score of the engagement and satisfaction level, it was at 3.18. In 2024, we reached 4.45 out of 5. And as you can see, there was a steady progress, which it makes you feel like, okay, whatever we are doing must be correct, because it's small, steady progress every year. And then, as you can see, leadership from 3.2 in 2023 reached 4.5. And about the culture, I'm proud to be an employee of Hermes Airport. Now we are at 4.57. Employee productivity, there is an increase on employee productivity. And when we're talking about employee productivity, we're talking about EBITDA per FT, revenues per FT, and passengers per FT. And we are really happy to say that since 2019, we do have the Platinum Investors in People accreditation, the only airport in the world having this accreditation. And now in 2024, we have also received the Platinum Investors in People accreditation for our well-being practices. These are some testimonials from our people, what they say about how they feel about their employment within Hermes. And closing, I just wanted to say that a meaningful employee experience can be achieved by providing a space where people can breathe, be themselves, have a purpose, be given opportunities for growth, and feel recognized, motivated, and valued. And we have seen it happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Natasha. This is really a pleasure to see that Hermes Airports are investing in their employees and treat all the colleagues as individuals rather than workforce. I see the chat is very active. I will take one question. Did you integrate the strong values and culture-based approach in recruitment interviewing processes? And if yes, how did you do that?
It's everywhere. It's like, okay, when we are doing the recruitment and the interviews, okay, there are some competencies that we are looking for. So as I said, our values are translated to competencies. So when we are doing the interviews and we are having the recruitment process, we are taking that, yes, into consideration. Yes.
Okay.
Is whatever we do, we have at the core that we want to have a healthy organization. That's it. So whatever you do, your training and development, to have opportunities from everyone and to be fair and to be correct about everyone in the organization. Every 2 years, we are having personal development plans for everyone, for example, where we are having the meetings with the employee, the HR, and their manager, all together to decide on specific plan for a specific colleague. Then we are having performance management, again, is included in the system. So basically, whatever we do, the way we talk to each other, the space we're giving to each other is around to this, that we are having a healthy organization. And at the end of the day, values and core competencies, but values is who we are. So basically, it's not just words. You are going to see it in action, how people behave, not only with externals, but also between them.
Thank you very much. That's great. I don't see any other questions in the chat, so I think we have 2 minutes left until end of this webinar. To wrap up, I would like to warmly thank all our speakers and all our participants. And to conclude this webinar, I would like each speaker say one sentence as a final word about the transition of HR from traditional model to the new model which implements employee experience, data-driven solutions, and AI. I think we start with Christian, so we do in the same sequence. Christian, your final words, please.
Okay, very, very short. I think that this transformation is from a reactive HR to a proactive HR. So a more importance in identifying challenges, also business opportunities, and of course before they become problems. So a more we're becoming more and more proactive in our job, in our role.
Okay, Hélène, next.
I was going to say the same thing. We have to step
Sorry
up
for that.
and stop being reactive to situation, but more active, proactive, and be able to better understand what the context is about and how we can be more in control of what is happening.
Thank you, Hélène. We go to Teresa. Teresa, your final words, please.
Thank you, Julia. I think we are facing a fundamental shift in how businesses engage with our employees now, and I think that's got to be at the forefront of what we do. And EX is a very big part of that, as is AI. So we're looking at some really great and positive changes coming up. We just have to make sure that we're prepared to take those on board and move with them.
Thank you, Natasha.
I agree with everyone. Okay, and what I wanted to say is that we need to learn to listen a bit more. Okay, and be open to the new, because the solution is out there, is talking to us. Let's listen. And in organizations, because we are talking about people and we are talking about this transformation and the shift, let's give more space also to HR people to share these views, as is the area of expertise. So, and as HR, we need to listen to people and the organizations and to find the right solution, because it's there, it's going to happen, it's happening. So it's a good thing.
Okay, thank you very much. I see there is a question. Yes, so on this note, on this positive note, I would like to wrap up our webinar, and also remind about next one, which will happen on the 15th of April on advancing airports, noise, and research. Also have a look at our upcoming event. It's a regional airports conference and exhibition, which will take place in Turkey, in Dalaman. Another thing I would like to mention in my role of moderator is that our colleagues at ACI World in Montreal, they develop various kind of surveys, and one of them is based on employee survey for customer experience. The information about this survey will be sent to all registered participants of this webinar, together with all other materials in the post-webinar message. So with that, I would like to thank all of you. We had 75 participants at the speak, so thank you very much, and have a great afternoon.